Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, I'm in the marketplace for talent, people with different ideas on the cutting edge, doing different things, applying those distinctions and concepts in my own life, reaping the rewards. So today I have a very interesting guest from Slovenia, goes by Uroš, and he's going to talk to us all about networking, business, self-development, self-improvement, and entrepreneurship. So Uroš, welcome.
Christopher, thank you. Hi, thank you for having me. And it's my honor and pleasure to be your guest.
Yeah, I know we had connected through Podmatch, and like I said, I really love identifying new communities, people doing different things. So tell the audience about your story, your background, and how you got started.
Who I am at the moment, I am a business financial advisor, a virtual CFO. So I work with numbers. I help people basically cover their back, because I know everyone going into the business is expert in their own field, but they don't know often the background of their business background. So like numbers and so on, and finances. And we'll come to that. Where I'm coming from is like I started as an entrepreneur, or like with entrepreneurial endeavors with early age of 5. Maybe because I was growing into entrepreneurial family. My father started his own business right after Yugoslavia fell apart. And one sunny, hot summer afternoon, I was like bored, like many kids around. I had usual kid stuff lying around the house, like kid shovel, bucket, everything plastic, like you can imagine. And I decided to do something with all that. And I dig a pretty decent hole in the backyard, put all that dirt that I dug out through the sifter, pack it in like little kitchen plastic bags, like 1 pound each, maybe. I decided to call that the product of mine, let's call it like this, was a dirt for plants. And I loaded my product on nice little red trolley that I had with big yellow wheels. And I took it around the block, knocking on doors and selling it door to door. And within a couple of hours, I sold all my inventory, if I can call it that. Of course, you can imagine that product of mine had no real value, because packets were small, and with hot summer afternoon, the dirt was dry. So probably my unfair advantage at the time was that I was a kid and people bought from me just because of that fact. But nevertheless, I did something, I earned some money, and I got some money to treat myself with ice cream, and probably bought something else too. Fast forward, later on, with about 15 years old, I started to help in my father's company. So I got familiar with numbers. Later on, I've been working in that company ever since, because I was always destined to succeed my dad. Through the journey, I had a couple of other business ventures, from car care logistics to carbon fiber production, and also I did a little trade with electronics in the meanwhile, and always fell back to finance part. Did my tax advisor's license later on in 2000. Did a spin-off with my own solo as a tax advisor starting from scratch with 0 customers, and build it out through network, because I knew if I want to gain customers, I knew I have to get in front of people, tell them who I am, what am I doing, and therefore I decided to Google like business networking, business breakfast, and so on. And therefore I found BNI, that's American franchise networking, and I utilized that. Went for initial meeting, joined the group, and built my solo practice from there.
Excellent. Really interesting. And so, you're obviously an entrepreneur. And so, tell us like 3 common mistakes that can really hurt your business.
Yeah. First mistake is coming from the ground up, from the very, very beginning, because everyone who decides to start their own business, first thing that you have to do, you have to pick the right structure for your business, whether that be a freelance, LLC, incorporate, or whatever you pick. And from experience, I learned that most people go with two picks. Either they pick the one that's easier to form, or the one that sounds cooler, because it's super cool to have like LLC or incorporate. And from experience, I noticed that most of the time they pick the wrong one. So here's the first mistake, because every form of business determines your tax liabilities and your personal liability to customer and everyone that does business with you, like the supplier or a customer. And here is where they usually pick the wrong one. Either they're paying way too much in taxes, or they're exposing themselves, or they're treating their corporation, because it sounds fancy, and they're dragging money out like it's their own pocket, which is kind of completely separate entity from themselves. And this is like the first general mistake. Next mistake that is super often is people are not aware of finances within their business. What I noticed during all these 20 plus years doing accounting and my personal business is that many people know what their sales are approximately week, month, let's say, but everything else besides that, it's blurry. They don't have a clue about their costs, what fixed costs are, what variable costs are, what is their marginal cost. Very, very few people know what the marginal costs are. And sometimes this is very important, because additional unit of sales can actually generate a loss for you, not a profit. So a really nice order that you might get, a really nice business that you were maybe working for a long time, can actually be too big for you and generate a loss for you. So understanding of this is super crucial when determining if you have a production. How much of production do you have to utilize? Either you grow your production gradually as your orders coming in, or if you have super high fixed costs, you have to fill up your production 100% to lower your price per unit, and therefore you can sell your product for cheaper, or you can offer better discounts. You can be more competitive on the market and still offer a great quality for that. Otherwise, you will be just too expensive and people won't buy it, and you will just go downhill. And the third mistake, I would say, is not looking into the future, not having proper business plan, and not having a cash flow forecast on hand. Because cash flow forecast, I call it a crystal ball. It's like a little crystal ball which we can see into the future. So what I like to do with my clients, depends on the business, we do it on weekly or monthly increments for a few months ahead. And we adapt it according to actual cash flow, incoming receipts, invoices, and so on, and of course payments. And therefore, you can see how the cash flow is moving currently, and if the trend is gonna keep on going, you can see like 3, 4, 5 months from now, you can spot an issue. Okay, in September, I might not have enough cash to pay salary, or I might not be able to restock, or you may spot an issue way ahead of time, and therefore you can act now. Because you probably know, in a business and in life, of course, whatever you do, 60 to 90 days of delay, good or bad. If you start working really hard now towards your goal, your first effect, your first, let's say, benefit from that you will reap in 60 to 90 days. And of course, if you start slacking, again, it's going to show in 60 to 90 days. So it's good to have that crystal ball to see what's going to happen in about 60 to 90 or a few months. And therefore, you can adapt now to avoid that issue in the future. These are the things that are super important and business owners often neglect. And not because they would be ignorant, or they're just masters of their own craft. You're talking to PhDs a lot. And every entrepreneur that is like a PhD, a doctor, dentist, plumber, carpenter, whatever, they're masters of their own craft. But numbers, something else for them. But it's super crucial and important for them to know about that, and not to do all that, but knowing what to ask a specialized advisor for.
Yeah, really interesting. I love that. I know a lot of the audience out there is interested talking to you. I know you're on Facebook. How can people follow you on Facebook? Check out your business. You're on Instagram as well. So I'd let them know.
Yeah, the best way to reach out to contact me would be through Instagram. It's Uroš _MFC. Putting daily content out, little nuggets that are going to help people progress in their life, either business-wise, fitness-wise, or in life in general. Because I believe everything works together, congruent: life, fitness, business, health, and therefore we have to work on everything together. So if anyone has any question, interest, how to do, or any issue within their business, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to help.
And for all the listeners out there, let's thank Uroš for coming onto the show, really dropping a lot of wisdom, and be sure to follow him on all his social media. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Christopher, thank you again. It's my pleasure, and really thank you for having me. I hope I brought enough value for the listeners so they can get something out of that and steer their business into the growth.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.